family ambushed me with divorce. My revenge sank their empire. Her family summoned me to a secret meeting behind her back. I stepped into their mansion, saw their cold smirks and knew I was ambushed. But they had no idea I'd already armed myself with their darkest secrets. If this story moved, you don't forget to drop a comment and subscribe to Viora for more unforgettable stories that speak to the heart. My name's Mason Callahan. 46, owner of a logistics firm in Charleston, South Carolina, hauling freight from ports to warehouses. I'm no Wall Street king, but I've clawed my way to a good life, 8 figures in assets, a restored Victorian home on the Battery, its wraparound porch glowing under Spanish moss, and a condo on Folly Beach where the Atlantic's roar drowns out the world. Krista, my wife of 9 years, is the pulse of it all. 33, with hazel eyes that spark and a voice that could sell ice in a blizzard. She's a marketing whiz, her campaigns lighting up billboards across the Southeast. We met at a waterfront gala, her laugh pulling me like a current. I was gone. We built something real, late nights grilling shrimp, her bare feet on the condo's deck, my arm around her as we planned a future. No kids yet, just us, our rescue dog Jasper, and a rhythm that felt like forever. I thought we were bulletproof. Krista's family, the Warrens, saw me as dirt. Old Charleston elite, they flaunted their wealth like a weapon. Real estate empires, yacht club memberships, names etched in historic plaques. My roots, dad a welder, mom a school teacher, were a punchline. Edward Warren, Krista's father, a property tycoon, called me the trucker to my face, his whiskey breath thick with scorn. Lillian, her mother draped in pearls, offered backhanded praise. You're so industrious, Mason. Nathan, her brother, a hedge fund hotshot, sneered at my firm's cute revenue. Krista laughed it off, swore they'd warm up. I took their hits, kept my chin up, for her love makes you swallow poison. It started with a text from Nathan on a humid Tuesday family meeting, Friday 8 p.m. Warren Estate, keep it from Krista. My stomach knotted. Why hide it? Krista was in Raleigh pitching a campaign, oblivious. I could have called her blown it open, but my gut screamed to play their game. See their cards, I typed back. I'll be there. His reply, a winking emoji, felt like a jab, smug prick. I spent the week digging. Krista and I shared finances, a joint account tied to her family's trust. Edward's idea to secure her legacy. I'd noticed odd withdrawals, $5,000 here, $10,000 there, chalked it up to her business expenses. But they kept coming too clean, too frequent. I called Greg Holt, a forensic accountant and old college buddy, to trace them. Give me 48 hours, he said. By Thursday, he had a report, $250,000 siphoned over 6 months, funneled to Nathan's hedge fund, bleeding from bad crypto bets. Edward and Lillian signed off, masking it as consulting fees. They were using Krista's money, our money, to prop up their empire. I printed the report, backed up emails, and saved a voicemail from Nathan to Edward. Mason's clueless, Krista won't check, we're clear. My jaw clenched. Clueless, they'd see. Friday night, I drove to the Warren Estate, a low-country palace of white columns and manicured lawns, the air thick with jasmine and menace. Lillian met me at the door, her smile a blade. Mason, how punctual. Edward waited in the foyer, bourbon in hand, eyes like flint. Nathan slouched in an armchair, smirking, his Rolex glinting. A dozen relatives, cousins, aunts, uncles lined the room, their silence heavy. No Krista, just me walking into a lion's den. Edward gestured to the dining room, a chandelier casting shadows on a mahogany table. "Sai tea," he barked. A leather folder sat at my place, embossed with their crest. I opened it. Divorce papers. Krista's name typed neatly, terms brutal. I'd get nothing, not even the condo sign. Edward said, voice flat, "You're a drag on Krista's future." Lillian's voice was syrupy. "She needs someone of her stature." Nathan leaned in, grinning. "You're a nobody, Callahan, always will be." The relatives nodded their stares. A jury. My pulse roared. But I kept my face stone. I'd seen this coming. Not the papers, but the ambush. Krista hadn't whispered a word about divorce, hadn't pulled away. This was their play, not hers. I slid the folder aside, pulled a flash drive from my jacket. "Before I sign, let's talk." Edward's lip curled. "No games, Mason." I plugged the drive into my phone, hit play. Nathan's voicemail filled the room. Mason's clueless, Krista won't check. Faces paled. Lillian's pearls clicked as she shifted. Edward's glass froze mid-sip. I tossed Greg's report on the table. Bank statements, wire transfers, their signatures. You stole $250,000 from your daughter from us. My voice was low, lethal. I've got emails, recordings, every transaction. My lawyer's on speed dial for fraud charges. Nathan shot up, that's fabricated. I held up a second drive. Copies are with my attorney. Want to test me? Edward's face twisted, rage and fear colliding. Lillian gasped, "How dare you!" The relatives murmured, their unity cracking. I stood towering over the table. You want me gone, fine, but your secrets come with me. The chandelier flickered, casting jagged light. Nathan lunged for the report, but I snatched it back. Sit down, I snapped. He froze, eyes wild. The room was a powder keg, and I held the match. Then the front door crashed open. Krista stormed in, rain dripping from her coat, eyes blazing like a hurricane. What is this? Her voice cut through the silence. Nathan stammered, Chris, you weren't. She ignored him, zeroing in on the divorce papers. You did this without me. Lillian reached out, voice trembling. Darling, it's for Krista. Slapped the table, papers scattering. Stop lying. She turned to me, breath ragged. Mason, tell me. I handed her the report. My eyes locked on hers. They're stealing from you. From our life. She scanned the pages, hands shaking, her face crumpling as the truth sank in. Edward tried. Krista, he's twisting. She whirled, voice a blade. You used me. The relatives shrank, their empire crumbling under her glare. Krista faced me, tears brimming but fierce. What else? I hesitated. The next move would burn bridges forever. Greg had found something worse, not just fraud, but a name tied to Nathan's deals, Jeff Ryland. My former business partner, the man I'd trusted, who'd been texting Krista at midnight. And there was more, a photo I hadn't shown her yet, one that would break her heart. Krista's eyes were daggers, the bank records crumpling in her trembling hands. What photo, Mason? She demanded, her voice slicing through the Warren dining room's heavy silence. I froze. The truth, a lead weight in my chest. Showing her would destroy her, but hiding it would make me no better than her family. I pulled out my phone, opened the image, and watched her world implode. It was Jeff Ryland, my former business partner, his arm draped around Krista at a Raleigh rooftop bar, her smile too warm, his hand too low. Timestamp 4 weeks ago, when she'd claimed a late client meeting. The chandelier's light flickered, casting shadows on the Warrens' stunned faces. Edward's bourbon glass hit the table with a clink. Lillian's pearls clicked nervously. Nathan's smirk evaporated. Krista's breath caught her face, paling to chalk. This isn't what it looks like, she whispered, voice breaking. I held her gaze, my tone cold as a Charleston winter. Then explain. She opened her mouth, but nothing came. The Warrens exchanged panicked glances, their ambush crumbling. Krista thrust the records at me, stormed through the oak doors, and slammed them shut. The sound reverberated, a crack in their gilded facade. Edward lunged, face flushed with rage. You set this up, Callahan! I stepped forward, voice low and lethal. You stole $250,000 from your daughter. Don't play victim. Lillian grabbed Nathan's arm, her voice a hiss. Get him out! But the relatives were already slipping away, their whispers. A rising tide of doubt. The Warren dynasty was fracturing under the weight of their own greed, and I'd struck the match. Edward's eyes blazed, but he backed down, his empire's cracks, exposed. I pocketed the flash drive, walked into the rain-soaked Charleston night, the air thick with jasmine and betrayal. I drove home, wipers slashing through the storm. Jasper's snores, a faint anchor in the back seat. The Victorian was dark. Krista's absence, a knife in my ribs. Her car was gone, her phone off. My chest burned, not just from her deception, but from the life we'd built, now teetering on collapse. I didn't call her chasing was weakness. Instead, I poured a bourbon, the study's oak walls swallowing the lamplight, and dialed Greg Holt, my forensic accountant. What's Jeff's game? I asked. Voice steady. Greg didn't mince words. He's neck deep in Nathan's hedge fund, siphoned $80,000 of your money through a shell company. And he's been meeting Krista. Hotels, bars, late-night calls. My glass creaked in my grip. Jeff Ryland, my brother-in-arms who'd hauled freight with me in our 20s, built Callahan Logistics from nothing. He'd split 5 years ago, pissed at my cautious growth, but swore loyalty. Now he was in my accounts, my marriage. I pulled up the Folly Beach condo's security feed cameras Krista thought were offline wrong. The footage loaded 6 weeks ago, 11:03 p.m. Jeff's BMW glided into the driveway, headlights cutting the dark. Krista opened the door, her laugh soft, the one that used to be mine. They disappeared inside, lights burning till 4 a.m. My jaw locked, but I saved the clip, every frame a bullet. Evidence was my armor, and I was going to war. Morning broke gray and unforgiving. Ethan Walsh, my lawyer, called at 5 a.m. The Warrens are scrambling. Edward's lawyers want a meeting offer to drop the divorce push if you destroy the evidence. I smirked bitter. Tell them to choke on it. Ethan's voice tightened. There's more. Nathan's fund is under SEC investigation. Your money's tangled in it. And Jeff's linked to a bigger fish I'm digging. I leaned back, bourbon stale in my hand. Dig faster. Krista texted an hour later. Mason, I'm home. Please, we need to talk. Home. Our battlefield. I drove back Charleston's historic homes, blurring past my pulse a steady drum. She was in the kitchen, eyes red from crying. Coffee cold. I didn't sleep with Jeff. She said, voice raw, pleading. He was a friend helping me deal with Dad's pressure. I crossed my arms, voice flat. Friends don't steal $80,000, did you know? She flinched, tears spilling. Not at first. He said it was for Nathan's fund, legit investments. I trusted him. I slid my phone across the counter. Condo footage paused on Jeff's smug face. Trust. This. Her sob broke, hands covering her eyes. It was a mistake, Mason. We talked. Drank, that's all. I wasn't convinced. Talked about what ditching me, gutting my firm. She shook her head, desperate. No, Dad and Nathan said you were holding me back. Jeff offered a way out, said he'd protect me. I stepped closer. Voice a blade, protect you. He's a leech, Krista, and you opened the door. Her eyes flickered with guilt. I'll fix this, she whispered. I know their plans, Nathan's deals, Jeff's moves. I studied her trust in tatters. Start talking. She spilled, voice shaking. Nathan's hedge fund was a sham. Bleeding millions propped up by our $250,000 funneled through Jeff's shell company. Edward and Lillian approved, desperate to save their name. Jeff wasn't just skimming. He was brokering deals to sell my firm's contracts to Coastal Freight. A rival itching to dominate the port. There's more. Krista said, barely audible. Jeff's working with someone inside your company. My blood ran cold. Who? She hesitated, then whispered. Elaine Carver. Elaine Carver. My operations manager. 48. The backbone of my firm, running logistics like a machine. I'd trusted her with everything, schedules, clients, my expansion plans. I called Greg, put him on speaker, check Elaine's emails, calls, everything. Greg worked fast, voice grim. She's been feeding Jeff your bids, client lists, even your new Savannah route. She's their mole. My fist clenched, bourbon glass trembling. Elaine, another traitor. Krista's eyes widened. I didn't know, Mason. I swear I believed her just enough. You're with me now, I said, grabbing my keys. We end this. We drove to the office. Charleston's cobblestone streets rattling under my truck. Elaine was at her desk, all smiles, handing me a schedule. Big day, boss. I took the papers, eyes ice, you tell me. Her smile wavered, a hairline crack. I nodded to Greg, who'd slipped in, locking her system access. We're auditing you. I said, voice flat. She stammered. What, I don't? I tossed Jeff's email on her desk, her name bolded. Explain. She froze, then bolted. Greg blocked the door, his frame a wall sit, he growled. She collapsed, shaking. Elaine broke in minutes. Jeff promised me 10% of Coastal's deal. She sobbed. They wanted your clients, your routes. I didn't want to hurt you. I leaned in, voice low. You sold my life's work. You're fired. Security escorted her out, her cries echoing. Greg pulled her files, hundreds of emails, calls to Jeff, Nathan, even Edward. They weren't just after my firm. They were forging deeds to flip my Folly Beach condo to Coastal's investors, a $2 million asset they thought I'd never miss. Ethan called, voice urgent. The Warrens are desperate. Edward's offering $750,000 to bury the evidence. And Nathan's meeting Jeff tonight, Yacht Club, King Street. They're planning to tank your firm by Friday. My jaw tightened. File fraud charges. No deals. Ethan pushed back. Clients are bailing, Mason. You're bleeding. I didn't flinch. Then we fight leaner. I hired Cole Ramsey, a PI and ex-cop, to infiltrate the Yacht Club. He got audio by midnight. Nathan slurring through whiskey. Callahan's done. Jeff's got Krista twisted and Elaine's our key. Jeff's laugh was oily. Mason's too soft. We'll own his fleet. I listened, rage coiling, but my mind was clear. Soft, they'd choke on that. Then Greg dropped a bomb. Found another player. Margaret Warren, Krista's aunt. Margaret, 62, the Warrens' silent power. Her charity galas masking a ruthless streak. She's bankrolling Jeff's shell company. Greg said, moving your money offshore, $100,000 more than we thought. My stomach twisted. Margaret, the shadow behind the Warrens, pulling strings I'd missed. She's meeting Jeff tomorrow, Greg added. Private Doc Sullivan's Island. I confronted Krista at the Victorian, her face hollow from sleeplessness. Your Aunt Margaret. What's her game? She gasped, shaking her head. She's my mentor. She wouldn't. I showed her Greg's report transfers emails. Margaret's name in bold. Krista's eyes hardened. I'll face her. I gripped her arm firm but steady. No, we do this together. Cold-tailed Margaret to the dock, her Rolls-Royce gleaming under dawn light. She met Jeff, their voices low. But Cole's mic caught fragments. Callahan sniffing. End him fast. I sent the audio to Ethan, add Margaret to the lawsuit. Fraud, conspiracy, everything. He groaned. You're torching Charleston Mason. I smirked. Let it burn. That night Jeff showed up at the house. I was in the study. Jasper growling bourbon untouched. Krista answered the door, her voice trembling. Jeff, go. He pushed inside, smooth as venom. Chris, we can still salvage this. I stepped out. Fist clenched. Get out. He grinned unfazed. You're too late, Mason. Your firm's ours and Krista's with me. She slapped him, tears streaming. You lied? He grabbed her wrist, but I was faster, slamming him against the wall, my forearm on his throat. Touch her again, you're done. He laughed defiant. Ask Margaret, she owns you. The doorbell rang sharp, cutting the air. Jasper's bark turned feral hackles up. I released. Jeff checked the security feed, a woman at the door face, shadowed rain dripping from her hood. Krista's breath caught. That's her, Jeff's other contact. My pulse spiked. The door creaked open and a voice I hadn't heard in years froze me cold. Mason, she said, stepping into the light. We need to talk. The woman stepped into the Victorian's dim light, rain dripping from her hood. Mason, she said, voice low, familiar cutting through years. My grip on Jeff tightened, Krista's gasp echoing. It was Sarah Holt, Greg's sister, my firm's former bookkeeper, fired 5 years ago for errors. Her eyes locked on mine, sharp as ever. We need to talk alone. I shoved Jeff back, keeping him in sight. Talk here, I said, voice cold. Sarah smirked, glancing at Krista, then Jeff. Your wife's lover and your ex-partner thought they could outsmart you. They forgot I know where the bodies are buried. Jeff lunged, snarling. Shut up, I blocked him, pinning him against the wall again. Krista stepped forward, trembling. Who are you? Sarah's smile was ice, the one who's been watching your family bleed, Mason dry. I released Jeff, motioned Sarah to the study. Jasper growled, hackles up as Krista followed Jeff, trailing his bravado crumbling. Sarah tossed a flash drive on the desk. Bank transfers, offshore accounts, Nathan's crypto scams, Margaret's the ringleader, but Jeff's the muscle. My pulse spiked. Sarah had been out of my life since Jeff pushed her exit, claiming she'd mismanaged funds. Now I saw it. Her errors were their setup. Why now? I asked, voice steady. Sarah's eyes darkened. Jeff ruined me. Took my career, my name. You're my shot at justice. Krista's voice broke. You knew about my family. Sarah nodded, unflinching. Edward, Lily, and Nathan, they used you as their ATM. Jeff and Elaine were just pawns. Jeff cursed, lunging for the drive, but I grabbed his wrist, twisting hard. Sit, I growled. He sank back, sweating. I plugged in the drive files, loaded Margaret's emails to Jeff, Nathan's forged contracts, even a wire to Coastal Freight's CEO. My firm's death warrant signed in their greed. I called Ethan Walsh, my lawyer, speaker on. Check this evidence, I said, forwarding Sarah's files. Ethan's voice was grim. This is dynamite, Mason, fraud, conspiracy, money laundering. Margaret's offshore accounts tied to a federal probe. I glanced at Jeff, his face ashen. File charges. Everyone, Edward, Lily, and Nathan. Jeff, Margaret, Elaine, Krista flinched, tears falling. Mason, my family. I met her gaze, voice flat. They stole from us. They don't get a pass. Sarah leaned in, voice low. There's more. Margaret's meeting. Coastal's CEO tomorrow. Battery Park, they're finalizing the condo sale. My condo, the Folly Beach Haven where Krista and I'd carved our initials. I nodded to Sarah. You're with me. Krista grabbed my arm. I'm coming too. I hesitated. Trust was thin, but her eyes burned with resolve. Fine, I said. Jeff smirked, voice oily. You're walking into a trap, Callahan. I ignored him, called Cole Ramsey, my PI detained. Jeff, cops are on the way. The police arrived, cuffing Jeff for trespassing and assault. He spat. You'll regret this, as they dragged him out. Krista watched, silent, her face a storm of guilt and fury. I didn't comfort her. Not yet. Sarah and I planned for dawn. Cole tailing Margaret's Rolls-Royce to Battery Park. The air was thick, Charleston's historic skyline looming as we parked a block away. Margaret stood by the water, elegant in a linen suit, shaking hands with a man in a tailored blazer. Coastal's CEO, Richard Vance. Cole's mic caught their words. Callahan's finished, the condo's ours. Margaret's laugh was sharp, and Krista's next. My blood boiled, but I stayed cold, recording every word. Krista beside me gripped my hand, her breath ragged. They're selling me out, she whispered. I nodded, voice low. Not anymore. We sent the audio to Ethan, who filed an emergency injunction freezing the condo's title. By noon, the SEC raided Coastal's office. Margaret's offshore accounts flagged. The Charleston Post ran the story, Warren dynasty linked to fraud scandal. Edward's real estate empire bled. Investors. Nathan's fund collapsed. Lillian's charity galas canceled overnight. Krista and I met Ethan at his office, the city buzzing with the fallout. You've got them, Ethan said, tossing a legal pad. Fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy. Margaret's facing federal charges. Nathan's cut a deal, ratting on Jeff. Elaine's cooperating too. I leaned back, the weight lifting but not gone. And Krista? Her eyes met mine, steady. I'll testify, she said. Against my family, Jeff, all of them. I nodded, respect flickering despite the scars she'd chosen, truth late but real. The twist came that night. Sarah called, voice urgent. Check your email. Now. I opened it, a video grainy from a dive bar security cam, Lillian drunk spilling to a stranger. We hired Jeff to seduce Krista, break Mason. Keep the money, my stomach churned. Krista beside me gasped, tears falling. They planned it. I pulled her close. My voice a vow. They're done. We leaked the video to the press, anonymous, no trace. The headlines erupted, Warren matriarch admits to marriage sabotage. Lillian's socialite status evaporated, her friends vanishing. Edward faced foreclosure, his mansion listed for sale. Nathan's plea landed him 3 years, Jeff got 5. His smug grin gone in court. Margaret fled to Europe, but the feds were closing in. I sold the condo, the Victorian, every echo of Krista's betrayal. We moved to a sleek downtown loft. Jasper sprawled by the windows. Charleston's lights, a quiet promise. My firm survived, leaner, stronger, loyal clients doubling down. Krista and I stayed together, not out of love but necessity. Legal battles tied us, divorce too messy. She rebuilt her career, I rebuilt my trust brick by brick. Sarah and I met for coffee, her eyes lighter, free. You got your revenge story, she said, smiling. I shook my head. Not revenge, justice. She nodded, understanding. What's next? I sipped my coffee. The city humming outside, keep building. Krista joined us, tentative, her smile fragile but real. We weren't whole, but we were moving. The Warrens' fall lingered, a cautionary tale in Charleston's elite circles. Margaret's indictment hit the news, her empire dust. But questions gnawed. Did I push too hard, burn too much? Should I have saved Krista from her family's web, or let her sink with staying with her strength or cowardice? I poured a bourbon alone. Jasper snoring, the city glittered below, alive, unbroken. To truth, I said, glass raised. What's next? Forgiveness. A new start, or another fight. What would you do standing in my shoes? Like what you heard, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Viora. Because the next story might just be your favorite one yet.